Hi guys, welcome to my first 2016 Classics Challenge video. This is January's one, obviously. I'm not really sure what I'm going to say because I've not really done this before and I've not really read that many classics, so I have no idea what I'm going to say, but I have some things written down, so we'll just see what happens. My January book for the 2016 Classics Challenge was Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. So I buddy read this with Naz. I'll link her down below. We spent a lot of time wanting to punch Mr. Collins in the face because, I mean, he just reached a point where he was so irrelevant. Yeah, it's like, what are you doing? But yeah, but that's beside the point. What did I think of the book? I read a lot of YA, and there's not a problem with people who read YA. I read YA and I read fantasy. I don't generally read literature, so I'm going to be the first person to admit that some of the more literary aspects might have completely passed me by because I don't generally read lit. So yeah, so some of those might have passed me by, and there were parts in the book where my brain was still getting used to the language and the way things were written, so some bits probably went completely over my head because, you know, it's like, it was written 200 years ago, guys. The language is not that easy. It took a while for my brain to get into the swing of things. To be honest, I wasn't really sure how I'd fare because the writing, if you're not used to it, is quite hard. But I just read The Dark Days Club before, and it's YA, set in 1812, and The Dark Days Club, while being a YA, had a lot of the authentic language. It wasn't to the same extent as Pride and Prejudice, but it had a lot of the language, so I think that kind of eased me into it, so I was already kind of in that zone, and then I started reading that, and it took a while for my brain to process how it was written and everything, and I had to reread some bits to kind of have it sink in and understand what they were saying. So I kind of started reading and I was like, oh my god, this is going to be a struggle, probably. I'm not sure if I'm going to manage it. And I was like, oh my god. But buddy reading really helped it because, you know, we could talk about it as we went along. I wasn't the only one, you know, completely like, what the hell? I don't understand what they're saying. What the hell? I wasn't the only person. So that was great. But I actually surprised myself because once I'd been reading it for a bit and my brain understood how they were talking and everything, I ended up really liking it, and I got so engrossed in some of the bits, and I was like giddily waiting for the next meeting between Elizabeth and Darcy, just like, and all the bits in between, it was like, dear God, come on, get on with it. Elizabeth and Darcy are so cute. Oh, they're so cute. Oh my god. Oh, what is this? What is that? Oh, for the love of God, please get on with it. But yeah, so there are some bits where you're just like, please can you get on with it? Because, you know, nothing much was really happening. There was no Elizabeth and Darcy, and it was just like, why am I reading this? I really don't care. But, you know, there is that. Not gonna lie, when I first opened the book and I read the, like, quote that everyone knows, I was just like, yes, look at me, I'm reading a classic, I understand all the quotes. And then I was like, kind of like internally cheering every time there was a well-known quote I knew, and I was like, oh, so that's where that comes from. That's the context with that. Okay. Got it. Can we just with Darcy's proposal? Because I know everyone goes on about it. Everyone goes on about it. And it's the quote that's everywhere that everyone uses. But I was expecting it to be at like the end of the book. So I got there and I was like, oh. Yeah. Wasn't expecting that. So I kind of enjoyed that it didn't just have them like go all the way through to the end, that they kind of like had the feelings, and then it was just like, well, Darcy had the feelings and then it took her a while, but I liked that, and it took a while. Eyeliner on my hand. The thing I found about Pride and Prejudice was I found it quite funny. I'm not entirely sure if I was supposed to find it as funny as I did, but I did find it quite funny, particularly Mr. Bennet, because he cracked me up. He was so sarcastic. And in the beginning, I opened the book and I started reading, and I was like, I'm gonna like you. I want to talk about the characters for a bit. I've just said about Mr. Bennet. Bingley I liked Bingley. His bitchy sisters, not so much. But then again, they were pretty irrelevant as well, but there you go. Elizabeth I immediately liked. She was witty, she made me laugh. She like, you know, she reads books. I don't know, I just felt like a connection to her, and I just really liked her and her whole personality and her attitude. You know, she kind of just like, she's not really, she's witty and she doesn't like Darcy, so she's not always nice, but she kind of laughs things off. Darcy. I did like Darcy, but the silly man tried to tell himself that he didn't like Elizabeth, even though it's completely obvious that he did with the broody staring and watching. So, yeah. Collins is the one that Naz and I wanted to punch a lot of the time. Dude, please take the hint. You just got rejected repeatedly. Take a hint. And then he, like, goes off and, like, marries her, like, best friend who's just like, you know, I'm just gonna go and marry him, and then when your dad, you know, dies, I'm just gonna pinch your house and kick you out casually. So that's a bit of a bummer. I'm not really sure how to feel about that either, because I mean, I guess it was just like a normal thing for the time, but I was just like, whoa. Collins kept popping up and he became so irrelevant at one point. It's like, why are you still here? Why do I care? Why are you still here? And he just sent like the bitchiest letter ever as well at one point. And I was just like, Lydia. Oh, Lydia. She really, really needed to have been indulged a little bit less. I wanted to smack her one more than once. If she had been my sister, I would have smacked some sense into her. Selfish, so selfish. And she goes and does whatever she does, and then she completely just shows up at the house and is just like, I just got everything I want. And she was a complete bitch. I hated her. Mrs. Bennet, for the love of God, woman, take a chill pill. Seriously, she was such a drama queen, and she just casually had like favourite kids in the other one she didn't really care about, and it was just like, seriously, love? Seriously? I love Jane. She had such a good outlook on life. Like, she tried to see the good in everyone, and she was really kind of sweet. And I like Jane. Completely fell in love with Elizabeth and Darcy and their romance and their story. I loved the language and the writing and the imagery, and I just completely, once, like I keep saying, once my brain got in gear and got with the language and how it was written, I completely fell into the book. Yeah, there were points when it was just kind of like, can we get on with it? It's boring now. But I completely fell into the story, into the world of the book. I could picture everything. I completely, I don't know, there's just something about the manners and the kind of like, the whole manners and the everything that went on in the time that kind of makes you think, not so bad, not so bad. But then something would happen and you'd be like, oh God, I'd hate to live in that time. Everyone always romanticises this time period, and I can't really understand why, because if you're a woman, you basically have no say whatsoever, unless you're kind of in the very low class, in which case you can pretty much, it's better than, I would say, being a noble is great and everything, but you basically can't do anything, and you have to do what you're told, and if you might have to marry some casual old guy. Yeah, so I don't really understand why everyone romanticises the time, but reading the romance, and all the everything in Pride and Prejudice, I was like, okay, I can see why people romanticize this time, even though they really shouldn't, because, you know, The other thing I want to say is I was reading and reading and reading, and every time like a lake or a stream was mentioned, I was like, oh my God, this is it, this is it, this is it, this is it. But it never happened. The infamous wet t-shirt Darcy scene that I have heard so much about never happened. So I'm going to assume that's like a film / TV adaptation thing only, because I'm just like, oh my God, it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Oh no, wait, no. Because I was trying to work out, I was literally, oh God, I was actually quite disappointed because I was looking forward to that bit, because I was like, oh my God, I know this scene. But no, I did not know that scene. That's what I thought of the book in a very rambly, I don't know what to say kind of way. So this has been fun. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say.